Thank God you came. How many more days could I wait? Make plans with you, and I won't let them fall through. I think I lie for you. I think I die for you. Jealousy cry. Just can't feel what Hi, this is Tracy Braxton, and you're watching the Bobby.
Hi, I'm Laura with the BobbyPin.com.
Hi.
And my question is, Crash and Burn for debut album is a very interesting name. And I would assume that you're trying to make a statement.
So credit goes to this picture from Community Square Chat. That's who this credit go to, you guys. But Mary Ann has two enemies, you guys. She cannot stand these two men. Shout out to Community Square Chat because they really got captured this picture very well. So now, is the check fake? She turned the comments off. So above it says that Mary Ann Lorient allegedly lied to Leonard Honor about the fake check. Now I call that check the check with 9 lives. Y'all know how they say a cat got 9 lives, just keep bouncing back and back and back. Well, this check, it just walked everywhere, right? All right, now. Is she working with Umar Johnson? Is she, you guys? Do y'all think that Mary Ann is working with Umar Johnson? I don't. I really don't. This woman can't stand Umar Johnson. You look at her expression when she talking about that man. She can't stand him. And now she can't stand Leonard. Allegedly, in my opinion. But anyway, it said, oh my God. I recorded her comments before she disabled them. So I don't have nothing to do with this. I'm just reporting the news, you guys. But anyway, Mary Ann is back on and she's back on. She done rose again. She saw Umar on the Breakfast Club and looked like it triggered her, you guys. And she's not holding nothing back on how she felt about him. How she just wants the community to just, help her bring him down. Meanwhile, Dr. Umar is doing what he's doing, telling all those fabulous stories about how he is going to get this school occupancy certificate. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He's going to get that in 2027 now, you guys. That bothers her as well. And righteously so, it should bother everybody, especially his donors. But now, she got Leonard on the other side, and she's not feeling Leonard. What is this community going to? Oh, she's so sweet, though, y'all. I like her. I like you, girl. I do like her because I like her tenacity, her resilience to keep coming back. Y'all not finna swallow her up. I don't care what y'all say. So I like that in her. But anyway, Mary Ann, you do what you do. You own it. She owned Dr. Umar. But meanwhile, Dr. Umar just ignores them. He just ignoring everybody and continue to rise up and up and up. Grand opening, the Working Man podcast, y'all. I was over there watching him. Yeah, I was watching.
Got in DJ Envy. Now, amidst all the other drama going on with Mary Ann Lorient and Lene Stacks and the Lady Mia, who was one of Umar Johnson's alleged former caretakers, Umar Johnson has now come out of the shadows and come back to the Breakfast Club, speaking on the certificate of occupancy and the grand opening, the opening date of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. Anybody got a problem with what I just said? And we know since he's acquired the building in 2019, he has changed the grand opening date numerous times. And this is another one. He said this year, right? A few months ago, he was in front of FDMG and he was shoveling the snow and he was walking through the halls talking about, the teachers lounge and, spanking parents and having a place where, people can go if they're tired of their significant others and getting on their nerves and all that kind of stuff. And he said, we're going to get the certificate of occupancy. And if not, he was on Lewis' podcast saying we might have to march on the city if we don't get our certificate of occupancy, right? And so now he's back again, changing the grand opening of FDMG. Meanwhile, speaking on the certificate of occupancy, which he said he might have to go with the city to get, talking about he doesn't need credentials, he doesn't need this and that, and it's the first independent school with the black dollar and so on and so forth, as he always does. This is the latest from the Breakfast Club, which does millions of views every time it goes on. That's true, okay? Either because of the shenanigans or because black people just love the hope of the red, black, and green community. In any case, we're going to continue on listening to what Umar Johnson has to say.
Now, for some reason on this Breakfast Club, it's kind of like rubbed Mary Ann the wrong way. So she's reached out to Angela Lee, y'all. Y'all know that Angela. Hey, you guys, you got to see that Nigerians, those Africans, are pushing back at President Muhama. Why did he sell Africans down the drain? Why did he turn Africans over to EU, right? Okay, so now all the rest of the leaders, most of the leaders are trying to get Traore to step down, you guys. But the citizens love Traore. But anyway, meanwhile, you guys, y'all know what's going on. While the president of Ghana trying to get the popular vote, everybody loving him, everybody just, oh wow. When he came over here to America, he's trying to gain popularity, right? But guess what he did the same day to distract y'all? To distract people. While you looking over here at America, his vice president James was over there signing a security deal with EU. Now, Traore has already kicked France out of his country. They trying to get these people out of their country and trying to be more independent and gaining access to their own resources in Africa. That's the new Africa, but you got these old minds still doing the same thing over and over and over. Now, when Ghana president came to the Americas, they're claiming that he was attacked, y'all. Y'all should see all the headlines going across in Africa. FBA attacked it. FBA attacked the president. But anyway, let's see what the fans are saying. Lamar says, we don't need no president signing off on security contract with France at any time. Africa is unifying. They're trying to make a new Africa with new ideas, with gaining their own independence. So Africa is unifying, speaking on our behalf. Thanks, but no thanks, you guys. So see, the media over there, the African media over there, trying to bury this that the people are unhappy with. The Africans are unhappy with the president of Ghana. They're trying to bury it, you guys. But you got those think tanks over there. They're saying, oh no, this is not right. You just sold Africa to the devil. So why are Africans mad at the Ghana president? Is Gad wrote. High Time saying he just betrayed all of Africa by giving them to the European. Ghana was the same. Ghana stays the same. Y'all do know, we do know that he over here asking for reparation, but Ghana sold slaves. So if you're the enslaver, now you want the victims to turn around and pay you for the victims that you sold off into slavery. And Black America says no. Tamara said the people who financed the ships are now trying to wipe out the existence of ships, excuse themselves from the atrocity. Somebody is paying a low to you. But anyway, let me read this over, y'all. Tamara said the people who finance the ship are now trying to wipe out the existence of ships. Yeah, those Africans was even building ships. Just think about it. Building ships big enough to carry their own relative, to enslave their own relative. Excuse themselves from the atrocity. Well, that's what Ghana is trying to do. And we're saying that you sold our people into slavery or your people into slavery. Shit. Somebody is paying a low shield. You guys, this is deep. This is permanent. President Muhama just signed this security deal. This security deal where they're landing all their missiles, their explosives, their military might, friends, right there, EU, right there on site. Direct site in Ghana that borderlines Burkina Faso. What do y'all think is the purpose of this? I'll hope that they're not planning to overthrow Burkina Faso.
123 countries voted in favor, and the global south stood behind him. However, the United States, Israel, and Argentina voted against outright, and 52 countries abstained completely. This included France, Britain, Germany, of course, the European Union in general. That abstention was not neutral. It was a calculated refusal. Because, of course, if the EU acknowledges that slavery was a crime against humanity, it would open the door for the first legal step for reparations to be set up. And Europe, of course, has no intention of paying what it owes in terms of reparations. I praised Muhammad for pushing this forward, but then I found out additional information today. On March 24, 2026, the same day as the EU abstained from calling slavery a crime against humanity, Ghana formalized a security and defense partnership with the EU in Accra, with the EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas representing the European side and the Ghanaian government officials signing on behalf of the state. Ghana just became the first African country in history to sign this kind of deal with the EU. Muhammad did not just join a framework, he created a precedent. Every other African government can now be pressured to follow. You may have noticed that some of the videos on this channel have been removed over the past few weeks. On top of that, some have been demonetized. I've accepted that as a channel that fights for African sovereignty, that pushes back against imperialism and neocolonialism, there's a chance that this channel will be removed altogether. It's already happened to some other significant channels that talk about the same kind of stuff. That's why I ask those of you who want to support this channel to join my Substack. There's a free plan which acts as an insurance because we're connected email to email. So if anything does happen to this channel, we can still regroup and relaunch. There's also a paid tier for those who want to support further. It directly helps sustain this work, and it's the cost equivalent to spending on a cup of coffee about once a month. There's a link in the description below, and I look forward to connecting with you there. The EU has poured over 100 million euros into Ghana's security apparatus since 2023, with further deliveries confirmed in 2026. The deal locks an annual secured EU-Ghana security and defense dialogue in place firmly. This is a permanent institutional relationship. Ghana is now inside the EU's security architecture, and that door does not swing back very easily. Here's what that deal really means in simple terms. The EU has now placed military apparatus, drones, anti-drone weapons, electronic warfare systems, surveillance equipment, and explosive ordnance disposal capabilities inside a country sharing a direct border with Burkina Faso. France, who was expelled from Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger between 2022 and 2023, something we talk about a lot on this channel, has now opened the door through the EU to get a foothold back in that region that it has been expelled from through military might. The EU lost its military foothold on the Sahel. Through this one deal with one respected African president, they have now got an opportunity to replace that void they've been cut out of. And Ghana is the foothold. If you understand what this means for Ibrahim Traore, this move directly undermines the military position of Burkina Faso and the AES, placing his country at increased risk and exposure right on its southern border. And it does not stop at Ghana. The United States and the EU already maintain military infrastructure in the Ivory Coast and several other African nations that encircle the AES countries. Add Ghana, and you've now got a coordinated arc of foreign military presence that is physically surrounding the Alliance of Sahel states and Ibrahim Traore from all sides. This is not a coincidence. This is encirclement. And we have already seen exactly what kind of trouble encirclement produces. When Trump decided to strike Iran, every Middle Eastern GCC nation hosting a US military base became a staging ground with no say whatsoever in the matter. Qatar, Bahrain, the UAE were all pulled into a conflict that threw the entire Middle East into war and chaos, and the world is still dealing with that problem right now. These Middle Eastern countries did not consent. They had no power to refuse. They simply watched while the United States launched military.
This is the Cebu shop, and I appreciate the young man. He's a Nigerian mixed with British for telling the truth. Now, when President Muhama was getting praised for this reparation vote, his vice president, James, was over there making a deal with the devil to backstab the African countries with EU.
Bombs, drones, Tomahawk missiles, and all sorts of other fire and brimstone from American military bases on their sovereign ground into Iran without their consent. Ghana has now placed itself in that exact position on the southern border of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. This is inside a military framework controlled by Brussels and the EU. If the EU moves against the AES, and France has every financial motive to do exactly that, the infrastructure is already in place and Accra will not be asked for permission. Here is the biggest strategic picture. The AES sits on uranium, gold, and raw materials that France post-colonial economic model depended on at below market rates. The AES cut that pipeline off in the last few years, and Europe now faces either accepting the loss permanently or forcing its way back in. Covert destabilization has been running alongside overt military pressure for years now. When NATO destroyed Libya in 2011, Gaddafi's armories emptied directly into the Sahel and armed these emerging groups of Al-Qaeda affiliates, Islamic State cells, and Boko Haram, the very same groups that Europe recruited to bring down Gaddafi. Europe, of course, condemned these groups now, after building these groups and putting them together directly or indirectly, however you may see it. Europe, of course, condemns these groups. These are the ones committing Christian genocide in Nigeria and destabilizing the whole region. But Africa produces no significant military weapons, no advanced drone systems, no armaments at any scale. Yet these groups have maintained a continuous, sophisticated weapons supply for over a decade across Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and northern Nigeria. Someone is supplying them, and I wonder who that could be. One could
have no friends that can represent us in front of Congress, but we will make some, and we will vote those people out of office that's not going to do us right. But aren't we the majority in the Caribbean descendant of slavery? We are not all over social media crying about it. Why are some Black Americans doing this? Look, we are all victims of slavery, whether it's in the African continent, North, South America, Europe, or the Caribbean. And it's high time we put away these petty divisions and understand that it takes all of us together to fight our oppressor. Now, you know what? during the civil rights movement when we were fighting for you guys to come over here, aka I am a child from the civil rights movement. Yeah, I remember the story. I see everything with my own eyes. I'm still here. But you're saying that this is a divisionist. We have always embraced y'all. How are we divided when we're the one that made access for you guys to come over here, right? Y'all gonna say the ancestors. I'm still here. I'm not your ancestors yet, you guys. But now that Black America, FBA, decided to delineate, decided that we gonna get our reparation. You get your reparation to whoever owe you. It's so many players in this game of slavery, you guys. But the initiation was Africa, you guys. They were selling slaves before European came in existence. So no, we're not divided. It's the Africans who are divided. Right now, they over there. They're over there in South Africa chasing Nigerians, y'all, beating them up over there. Africa have never been united, never. When will we see the Africans unite so they can keep these devils out of their country and get them leaders out? These leaders keep making these bad deals and signing these contracts with these devils. It's the same over here, you guys, with these black leaders over there, like the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus. Most of those people in their 80s going on 90s won't step down and let these young people, let the young people come and serve. Anyway, y'all, let me just start from the beginning. I'm going to start right here where it says, it takes all of us together to fight our oppressor. That's why we brought y'all over here during the civil rights movement. What y'all do, gave us y'all butt to kick. No thanks. We don't need you guys. No thanks. So, beginning in Africans stand up against your corrupt leaders who are in bed with the colonizer, y'all. They're in bed with these people. How could this man sit up there and shake hand his vice president, make a contract, a deal that put them on the military disadvantage? That's what y'all claim. Y'all got colonized before because y'all had military disadvantage. And you're doing it again. This is Black Titanic. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe. You know what, y'all? I do have my main channel is Earth Journey at Black Titanic, right? This is my backup channel. So, to be honest with you guys, let's deal with facts, right? African region and kingdom. They are the origin of selling slaves. In fact, right now, modern day Ghana have slave. They call it human trafficking these days. They're trafficking women and children, especially since that Libya thing, when Gaddafi went over there and bombed Libya, you had all of those indigenous black people over there return to slavery, right? So while many individuals were captured by way of direct European raids, right? Roughly 90% were enslaved. Listen, y'all, 90% were enslaved by fellow African through warfare or kidnapping, and then turned around and sold to European and coastal slave castles. They call them slave castles, y'all. Those are dungeons. And you got so many family members and friends that go there and pay and tour, and they make a lot of money still off of those dungeons, right? So Benin and Nigeria, right? They were home to the kingdom of Dahomey and the Arrow Confederate, both major sources of captive. Ghana, the Ashanti Empire traded gold and slaves for European gold, you guys. So you see, Ghana now, Ghana is a hypocrite, right? They just sold Africa out to EU, right? So you're the enslaver, right? And Black Americans, FBA, are the victims. You will never get reparation for that. Go challenge whoever enslaved, colonized your people. And to you Africans, you guys need to challenge your corrupt leaders.